What's up everyone and welcome back to Reload Reacts episode 44. My name is Trey and today we are going to look through r/ProRevenge, the subreddit for those who get back at the ones who wrong them and are usually quite good at doing it. This first post is by Fused Canadian. Co-worker gets me fired. My many years waiting for revenge. Background. So I worked for Company A for almost a decade that had a small team consisting of 10 people doing commissioned work for businesses in my city. The owner treated us like family, knowing that we worked long and hard days, sometimes up to 60 hours in a week. He paid us better than expected, bonuses and perks he negotiated with businesses that commissioned our work, even gave the whole company a week off paid when his son was getting married so we could attend it. We had our squabbles like any other family, and things weren't always bright and perfect. But this is to show how nice owner treated his employees, and didn't screw me over. After working there for years, the manager position came open. Since by then I was one of the most senior workers with Company A, so I thought I would apply, which had a few others interested to do as well. I didn't get the position mainly because despite my experience at Company A, I didn't have a business administration degree. Someone who worked for owner did, so he got it. Realizing the education I would have to get, and the demand of this job, I thought long and hard and concluded that if I wanted to go anywhere in life, I would have to get that degree. Coming right of high school to work for Company A was great, but if I wanted to do something more, I would have to go to university. I talked to the owner and gave my 2 weeks notice. When I explained what I wanted to do and why, he understood that I was trying to make something of myself. This all becomes relevant later, I promise. Going to university, I found that I had tuition covered through government grants, but not things like food, rent, etc. So I looked around and eventually found work at Company B. Company B was a retail store, with a bigger staff than I had been used to, somewhere around 50 employees, but had such a huge employee turnaround that it was scary at times. They had dealt with a wider range of goods from groceries to very expensive items. They had a very niche clientele that they could order items for and catered to. I ended up working part-time in their warehouse and answered to the warehouse supervisor, who answered to the manager. There were other supervisors for other parts of the store, but for this, only the sales supervisor is relevant. Skip forward 7 years. In that time, I got my BA degree and worked at Company B the whole time, going from part-time to full, and eventually applied for the warehouse supervisor position. I was interviewed, got the job, been supervisor for months when manager and I hired Kay as a warehouse clerk. Kay isn't the one to get the revenge, but she played a crucial part in the revenge. Then B gets hired. B started out as a cashier, working quickly up the chain and brown-nosing as many co-workers as possible, including the manager. When a sales rep went on maternity leave, B quickly jumped at the chance to work in sales and ended up permanently being a part of that team, then the sales supervisor soon after. Me and B got along like oil and water. We butted heads over things constantly. She would tell the manager all the small things I did, but called me a snitch when I reported the issues she was causing. She would badmouth me and my warehouse staff, talk over me at meetings, and try to take credit for my ideas. She openly told co-workers that I was the cause of many issues and couldn't wait for me to leave. Oh, and she was never at fault. It would be the customer's fault, my fault, the delivery driver's fault, another co-worker's fault, etc. There were times when we got together well, but few and far between. I get fired. So one day, a very, and I mean very, expensive ring set, over $5,000 I found out later, ordered by one of our customers comes in. Years ago, I set up a procedure for any type of jewellery so that it will not get lost or stolen. The last step is, once we have done everything with it in the warehouse, we take it to the office and have someone put it in the safe immediately. This particular time, I was the one who received the rings, so once going through the procedure, told Kay that I was taking it to the office. The only one available who had the combination to the safe was B. I asked her if she could open the safe. She looked at me, looked at the jewelry box in my hand, then said, "Put it down here on my desk, I'll put it away once I'm done this email." Keep in mind that me and B had had a serious spat over something earlier that day, and I generally didn't feel like being close to her if I could help it, so I never saw her put it in the safe myself. The next day, I get a call from the manager to come to the office. I head there to find manager, B, and the HR consultant they pull in when some real S hits the fan. Manager tells me that the ring set has disappeared. I tell them the procedure I followed, and last I saw them was with B. Manager tells me that B checked the box and that said box was empty. Manager then pulls the box out. Sure enough, the box the rings were in was indeed empty. I swear to manager that the rings were inside when I checked them before giving a B. At this point, it's my word against hers. By a stroke of bad luck, the in-store video recorder had been broken down days before the incident, so there was no way to verify what happened. We all know someone has to take the blame for this, and that's when B strikes, saying that it was my fault since it was last seen in my hands. Manager asks if this is true, then I realize that, yes, I was indeed the last person to touch the thing, and I never actually saw B pick up the box. B gives me the look that screamed gotcha. Manager and HR consultant ask both of us to leave. After what seemed like forever, I get called in. Manager tells me that since I was responsible for the rings at the time and now are lost, they would be firing me. But since they had no proof as to whether I stole the rings or not, they wouldn't press charges, which scared the C out of me as this was the first time I heard them thinking this. I go back to the warehouse, tell Kay and the other warehouse clerks what just happened, grabbed my personal belongings and left that day. After a couple weeks of trying to get my head around what happened and weighing my options, I decide my first priority is to try and get some sort of job, and consider it lucky if I get a job flipping burgers with the bad rep when they ask Company B. I call the owner of Company A to get a good reference from them and explain what happened and why I was calling, only to get the shock of a lifetime. The manager position was about to be open. The guy who I lost the position to was retiring soon due to complicated health reasons. Owner had kept tabs on me while in university and understood when I didn't immediately come back to him. But with a golden opportunity like this, he wanted me back and I wasn't going to say no. I dive into my new job I originally wanted with an owner I enjoyed working for. I thought then and there everything would be behind me, not knowing it would come back, not to bite me, but to pay dividends. The revenge, Kay's side. This I found out after B's reckoning. After I was fired, Kay knew she had to do something about B. Kay knew that I wouldn't lose or steal something like the rings, but also knew that without proof, B would deny that she did it and have Kay in her crosshairs to attack next. So after talking with her husband, she hatched a plan. She started hanging out with B, telling her things like, "I'm so glad he's gone," or wish he'd been fired much earlier. B, feeling high from getting rid of one of her thorns in her side, soaked it all in, and after a couple weeks, invited Kay and Kay's husband, from now on KH, for drinks at her place with her and B's husband, BH. Months pass, Kay and KH do things regularly together with B and BH, including drinking on weekends and couple-related events. When together, Kay would occasionally badmouth me and B would agree. Finally, after over a year of playing nice, when Kay and KH were over at B's for one of their drinking parties, Kay randomly badmouthed me, mentioning the rings in passing. Then B says something that Kay was waiting for. I wanted those rings, so I stole them. Kay, hearing this, asks for more details. KH looks at her, tries to wave her off with one hand, then gives up when B keeps talking. That day, B had stopped writing her email and was going to put the rings up in the safe. The safe was open and she was about to put the rings away when B had an idea. See, as mentioned above, B wanted me gone from Company B. She also wanted those rings. She also knew that the cameras weren't working. She figured that she could pocket the rings, tell the manager they were missing, and spin it so I would take the blame. Kay then asks where the rings are now, and B, being too drunk and not seeing a reason not to brag, not only tells her, but shows her where they are in her room. All while KH had been recording the whole conversation on his phone, the hand waving was him saying he started recording. Kay gives a copy of the recording to manager the next day, Police are called immediately. B is arrested and her house is raided. They find the rings. K and KH give the recording and testimonies to police. B's reckoning has begun. Revenge, my side. I get a call from the prosecutor's office after B is arrested and charged with theft over $5,000, among other things. He wants me to testify about what she did to me. I did not skip a beat in saying yes. Fast track to the trial, prosecutor has me, K and KH testify and plays the recording of B admitting that she stole them. Her attorney tries to throw out the case, saying that K got B deliberately drunk, but judge didn't buy it, since there was proof she drank all the time. Judge was lenient and gave her 5 years in prison, which she yelled was unfair, but I personally thought she got off easy. Meanwhile, as the trial was happening, I was talking with a lawyer to sue B for setting me up like she did. We are also going to sue Company B for wrongful termination, but they settled the day they got notice of the lawsuit and knew they would lose. B wasn't so lucky. They tried some trickery by having BH divorce her, and he received everything in the divorce, but my lawyer added him into the lawsuit as well. My lawyer asked overall for $3,500 for emotional distress, back pay from when I was fired until I started up with Company A again and legal fees. And now, you're wondering where this metaphoric cherry is on this story? Well, recently, we had someone leave Company A, so we were hiring someone to replace them. Owner was going over the resumes and set up interviews for the job this week. Lo and behold, B was one of the people to apply, but he didn't know that. I looked at the resume, was about to trash it, but then smiled. Owner set up the interview. She came in at her slotted time, looking to brown nose her way through. Then, she saw me. I smiled an evil smile and she went white. All I said was, B, how are you? Remember me? A deer in a headlight look from her. I look at her resume and say, I'm sorry. I do not think you will be a good fit for our company. Thank you for applying. She said not one word and left. Edit. I forgot to mention that it has almost been 6 years between her last job, Company B, and her coming into the interview. This next post is by Carbon Land Rover. Block my driveway. I'll go ahead and take your vehicles. Friday night here in the country can get a little crazy sometimes, so I don't mind when my neighbours cause a ruckus or loud party as long as it's not too crazy. Tonight I'm on call for Virginia State Police towing rotation, which means I've got 25 minutes to get wherever the wreck/DUI/impound/etc. is. As luck would have it, my neighbours are having a party and guess what's blocking my driveway? That's right, about 25 to 30 cars. I live down a dirt road at the end of a cul-de-sac and it's pretty narrow. 1 in 1 out type of deal. And with this rain we've been having, parking in the grass/clay/mud is really not the best idea. Even with a 4x4, it can still get tricky. I noticed a few cars coming in early this evening and walked over to my neighbours and made it pretty clear I was on call, and as long as they didn't block the road or my driveway, all would be good. No problems here. Well, I get a call from my boss asking if we can go warm up the rotator and light duty flatbed tow trucks. It's about 12:30 AM, so I get my boots on and other gear because if I'm up, I might as well stay at the shop and clean a few things to stay busy and make the night move along. I get in my car and as I'm backing out of the driveway, I notice I'm blocked in. I don't mean by one truck, but by nearly 15 different vehicles. I calmly walk over to my neighbours about an 1/8 mile hike, and as I'm looking for them through the crowd of drunk teenagers, some idiot wants to know why I'm on his property. He's not the property owner. I've never seen this classy gentleman. Finally, I find my neighbour and ask her if she can move the cars. I've got to go to work, she says in a normal tone. Doesn't yell over the music. Into the house. Whoever's blocking the driveway next door, move your trucks, then slams the door in my face. I knock again and she answers with a drunken, oh god, this be again? Internally, I'm thinking, alright then. I do my best to explain, I'm on call and need to get out of my driveway to go to work. She comes back, sloshing a natural light, exclaiming, it's a party, relax. Shuts the door in my face and yells, F that, and then For a lack of a better word, I'm just going to use the term person because there is no way I could abbreviate this or say this without getting the channel instantly demonetized. I smile, and as I'm walking away, Macho Man throws a beer at me and cackles, "Yeah, you best leave. Go on, person." I get on the phone with dispatch and call for as many trucks as we have available tonight, about 10, and tell them to come on over. Mama's got some private property impounds. I call police dispatch and ask if they'd send out an officer in case things get out of hand, and as soon as he gets to my place, my rigs start rolling up and hooking vehicles up and taking them to the impound yard. We get down to the last 3 vehicles, a yellow Civic, gold Silverado, and an old F-150. The Civic owner bolts to his car and takes off. The Silverado girl, pretty wasted, gets stuck and starts tearing up my property. Officer walks over and she throws a fit. Long story short, she gets arrested for underage drinking and DUI. The Ford owner doesn't show up. I get to work after all the impounds, and with me, I brought coffees and snacks for my drivers. Tomorrow's not a business day, which means if these tools want their cars back, it's going to be the regular $289.50 plus 2 days of storage at $55 a day and a $100 gate fee. I make a note in every single storage sheet, papers that the vehicle owners get, to thank the girl who had the party for getting towed. Several of the kids' parents called wanting to know where their cars or trucks were. I gave them the yard address and told them they can come anytime. As soon as they started shouting about illegal tows and threatened with lawyers, I showed them pictures of their cars with no parking signs and explained that I tried to reason with the owner of the property, which is me, but she was tired of being blocked in by drunken teenagers. There are signs on my road saying no parking and not to block the driveway. Don't pee off a tow truck driver. She'll legally take your vehicles. Edit. The gate fee is only for after hours. It covers expenses of overtime for the office staff who have to get out of bed and come to work in the middle of the night. Also, how do I sleep at night? With a glass of chocolate milk while reading r/ask Reddit, of course. And I think that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stories in r/ProRevenge. Let me know what you'd like to listen to next in the comment section below. And also, hit that subscribe button because I post new Reddit content every single day. There are 2 videos on the screen, one of which is for the most recent video, and another is for a video the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll want to watch next. My name's Trey, this was Reload Reacts, and I will see you in the next video.